You are not broken. You are not behind. And there is nothing wrong with you. The most dangerous state isn't a crisis. It's quiet disconnection, when everything looks fine on the outside, but inside, something feels empty. If you've been feeling lost lately, this might explain why. And stay until the end, because what I'm going to say there may completely change how you see yourself in your life. There's a kind of loneliness almost nobody talks about. It's not about being alone. It's about being around people and still feeling invisible. You can work, you can socialize, you can smile, you can even succeed, and still feel like no one truly knows you. Not your quiet thoughts, not your fears, not the doubts you never say out loud, not the moments when you sit alone and wonder what's happening inside you. There was a man who lived with that feeling for years. On the outside, he was normal. He worked. He joked. He kept conversations going. He seemed confident. Sometimes he even inspired others. But inside, he was constantly adjusting himself. At work, confident. With friends, funny. With family, dependable. With strangers, agreeable. He became skilled at reading expectations faster than his own desires. And slowly, he became whoever the situation required. But when he was alone, he didn't know who he actually was. And that's exhausting, because pretending is heavy. When you play a role long enough, you forget what authenticity feels like. You start confusing approval with love, agreement with connection, acceptance with safety. One evening, after another day on autopilot, he sat in silence. No phone, no music, no distractions, just him and his thoughts. For the first time in a long time, he didn't run from the quiet. And he felt something unsettling. Emptiness. Not drama, not pain, not collapse. Just emptiness. Like there was no inner anchor. Like he existed, but without a center. Instead of distracting himself again, he stayed. It was uncomfortable. Silence can feel louder than noise. But he didn't escape. And he asked himself, when did I stop being honest with myself? The answer didn't come immediately. But memories began surfacing. Moments when he stayed silent even though he wanted to speak. When he agreed just to avoid tension. When he smiled even though he was hurt. When he said, it's fine even though it wasn't. When he chose approval over truth. And slowly he realized something important. He didn't become invisible. He made himself invisible. Gradually, subtly, almost without noticing. In order to be easier. In order to not be too much, not be difficult, not be strange, not be rejected. But here's the problem. When you hide parts of yourself to be accepted, you also hide from yourself. And that creates disconnection. It feels like you're living, but not fully present. Like everything is happening, but you're slightly outside of it. Like you're watching your own life instead of living it. So he decided to start small, not to change everything, not to blow up his life, not to make dramatic announcements, just honesty, at least with himself. If he didn't like something, he admitted it. If he was tired, he acknowledged it. If he was afraid, he stopped pretending he wasn't. If he felt resentment, he stopped dismissing it. He stopped arguing with his own feelings. And slowly, something began returning. He started to feel real again. Not perfect, not fearless, not superior. Real. He began saying no when he meant no. He stopped over-explaining himself. He stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. He stopped apologizing for having boundaries. And something surprising happened. The world didn't collapse. The people who truly valued him stayed. And the ones who left were never aligned with him in the first place. That's when he understood something powerful. Confidence doesn't come from success. It comes from alignment. When your inner truth matches your outer behavior, you feel solid. When they don't match, you feel anxious. Because you're constantly managing an image, managing reactions, managing impressions, and image management is exhausting. Months later, his external life looked almost the same. Same job, same city, same routines. But internally, he felt calmer because he wasn't splitting himself into versions anymore. He stopped performing. He started choosing. He began noticing where he felt safe, where he felt seen, where he could exist without a mask. And here's the part I promised at the beginning. The deepest exhaustion in life doesn't come from hard work. It comes from misalignment, from living a life that looks fine on paper but doesn't resonate inside your chest. If you constantly feel drained, ask yourself, where am I pretending? If you feel anxious around certain people, ask yourself, what part of me am I hiding right now? If you feel lost, ask yourself, when was the last time I made a decision purely for myself? You don't need to change everything overnight. You don't need to become someone else. Sometimes it starts with small acts of honesty, small internal corrections, small moments of courage, small refusals to keep pretending. And those small shifts slowly restore wholeness. That's what quiet growth really is. Not dramatic transformation, but steady alignment. When you stop acting and start living, not louder, not more impressive, but more honest. And if you're feeling that quiet emptiness right now, maybe it's not a crisis. Maybe it's a signal that you're ready to stop performing and start being, quietly, without drama, but truthfully. And that kind of growth lasts.